Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mission Admission by the Times of India. This is the biggest higher education event in Bangalore, bringing together thought leaders and eminent educationalists to help enable students and parents get a holistic understanding of various educational courses and career options available after 12th standard or PUC. The 2020 edition is a 5-day virtual conclave and is powered by Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham Bengaluru campus. Joining me on the webinar today is Arvind Nair, Regional Director, North India, Mirum Agency. Welcome, Arvind.
Hi, Shilpa.
As the Regional Director North, Arvind works closely with clients to identify how best to use digital as a medium to grow their business and support their customers. Arvind has led digital strategy and innovation for some of India's top agencies. At these firms, he has focused on moving away from traditional digital marketing approaches and towards customer centricity and social engagement. Arvind has also trained business teams to fully understand digital in order to drive change and build relationships with customers online. Without much ado, I'm going to speak to Arvind about how he started his career in digital marketing. He's actually a crossover he's done several gigs from being a consultant to now being an advertiser. Over to you, Arvind.
Thanks, Shilpa. Thanks for hosting me. So if I talk about my career, I was an engineer. I'm still an engineer by qualification. I did electronics and communications. Then I did a few years working as an engineer. Slowly moved on from there, figured out that that's probably not my real calling, and sort of evolved into in a consulting environment. I was working with KPMG for about 2.5, 3 years as a consultant. And then that is where that's when Facebook started, Google came in, and the whole social media boom was happening in India. And I joined a startup erstwhile. It was called Social Wavelength, and I sort of joined them to set up their Delhi office, and that was sort of the first step that I took in this career. And it's been fairly a good learning curve. In fact, I still learn almost every day. The kind of environment digital it changes sort of on a daily basis. There are new apps, there are new platforms, there are new ways to connect with your audience, there are new ways to sell a product. It's been a very, very interesting career for me. Like we were discussing earlier, I think it sort of allows me to bring out the creativity that I had internally, and also address, real business challenges and business problems that brands and organizations feel today. I think it's quite an interesting career. So that's a brief about my background.
Sure. Thanks, Arvind. Nowadays, you hear digital marketing has become the buzzword. Many students are looking at this as a career option. So if you can take us through what are some of the things that you need to really gear up at your end to really pursue this as a career option?
So let me just answer this in like a bit more broader approach, because I think that will help the students who are listening in sort of understand a bit more about digital as a career, right? So when I started off, or when digital marketing started off, it was purely social media led marketing, and people were just using social media as a platform to sort of create campaigns, build awareness, connect with their consumers, etc. And now that you see, and especially in this year, given the whole digital disruption that we've seen because of COVID, right? Things that had to move in the next 5 years has already happened in the last 6-7 months, right? So we're seeing a significant shift from purely being, a social media marketing sort of a workforce to something where you are actually trying to create, provide for business solutions. Now, when I say business solutions, we are actually working with brands to sort of, create digital as a business pipeline for them. So there, the ask from us is very fairly different, right? So we sort of work in a consulting sort of a role where we're actually doing business consulting elements, and at the same time there is this whole creative element to the business, which sort of brings out the creativity that the teams need to build the communications. So So it sort of straddles upon both sort of ends of the spectrum. So in terms of what you really need to know to sort of set out a career in digital marketing, uh, there are sort of, there are basic courses that you need to do on, say, a Facebook or a Google or LinkedIn or Instagram for starters. So you get a sense of what you can do with those platforms. How can you leverage the power of targeting? How can you figure out I think we just lost Shilpa here. I'll just wait for her to come back.
You can carry on. I think she'll be back in a minute.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So what I was saying is that you really need to sort of figure out what is so using these trainings that these platforms sort of provide, right? What you're able to do is understand the depth of data. You can actually figure out till what sort of level in a platform can you sort of target somebody. Can you understand the behavior? Can you understand what kind of content a particular person likes? And then as a brand or as a creative individual, you can sort of create those moments, the smaller moments that where brands interject, the ones that we see on our feeds and the ones that we interact with. And the other aspect to the whole thing is to understand businesses as well. So it's very important that the way we should look at digital marketing is that it's just an offshoot of the traditional marketing, right? So nothing really changes. The principles don't change. What a brand needs to do in a traditional marketing environment is the same that the brand needs to do in a digital marketing environment. The only things that really sort of change are the mediums. So whereas when I was using TV and print, the objective was very same to what I would do when I'm using digital mediums. So that's those are sort of key elements that you need to look at when you sort of look at digital marketing as a space. Is Shilpa back or?
Just a second.
Yeah.
Arvind?
Yeah.
Able to see video.
Shilpa, I'm not able to hear you at all.
Arvind?
I think there is some technical challenges that we're facing. Vamsi, are you able to hear me?
Arvind, I'm able to hear you, but I'm not able to see you.
Okay, I can hear you now. Same, I can't see your video feed, but I'm able to hear you.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay, lovely. Right, so we can continue now, Shilpa, if you're able to.
While Shilpa joins, I think we can take some questions maybe. There is this one question from our viewer who's asking, what are the different career options pertaining to digital marketing and how to go about each one of them as a college graduate?
Sure. So I think let's break down the sector into like 3-4 elements, right? So essentially in digital marketing there is the creative aspect and within the creative aspect, there is art and copy. So that's two. Then there is data, because now digital allows you to get a lot of data in place, right? So that is another aspects where you can look through data and learn from analytics on creating different trends and audience insights and category insights. That's the second. Then there is technology. So technology plays a huge role. So we do a lot of app development, a lot of website development, a lot of marketing automation work is something that we also do as an agency. So those are elements that where those things come in. And the last one is the whole business consulting element, which is fairly where you help businesses transform into a digital first organization. Now, when you're a college graduate, I think the easiest things that you can look at are the things that are around analytics, art, and copy, which is the creative aspect, right? Because you might not really get access to a lot of businesses or a lot of projects where you are able to experience these things. And a chunk of things that you need to do as a creative is to think, what your consumers would like. It's about how you can engage with a particular consumer. What is it that I can do to trigger some sort of emotion when you're doing a particular communication? And to complement that is the whole, the creative, the art bit, which is where you need to actually show your creativity. So there are guys in my office who are excellent. So you give them like a nice brief and they will come up with the most beautiful creative artwork that you can see and get shared. The other element is the analytics piece. That is where if you like numbers, if you like statistics, that's something that you can also look at, because a lot of data that comes out through digital campaigns are pretty much focused on understanding the consumer better. So when I'm trying to understand a consumer better, I'm able to sort of figure out through different types of data models, what do they like, what are the kind of behaviors that they exhibit on a particular campaign versus a different campaign. What does my category behave like? And those are different elements that sort of come together to sort of build out a digital marketing campaign as well. So I mean, there are 3-4 different ways that you can utilize what you're doing currently. And if you understand today, like everything is digital. So when the world becomes digital, everybody needs some sort of marketing to sort of push their product or their themselves or whatever it is. So even if you're specializing in a particular field, I think it's something that you should definitely have a basic understanding on. And it's easy to get a basic understanding on, because these platforms were made for consumers. So they're not complicated platforms. They're easy platforms. It's just you need to understand the right way to use the marketing tools to be able to sort of work on it.
Right. Sorry, Arvind, there was a bit of a glitch. Sorry about that.
No problem. I went on a monologue, so I hope the case.
Yes. So I just wanted to speak to you about, when you look at digital marketing, how is it different from the traditional forms of marketing? What are some of the things that students really need to watch out when they look at a traditional campaign versus a 360-degree social media campaign across different social channels?
Right. So I think so the biggest difference that you see between a traditional campaign and a digital campaign is the way it is targeted, right? So when you look at a traditional campaign, it's sort of it gives you a very wider reach, right? So, and it creates a much bigger impact, because that's the kind of thinking that goes behind it. That's the kind of art that comes out. That's the kind of creative that comes out. The same when it gets replicated on digital, it goes through different sort of segmentations, right? Because digital allows you to do that. So I would say that the thinking you should keep the same. So if you have a marketing mind, I think that is what is needed. You need to really understand what marketing is, what branding is, because that does not change from a traditional marketing to digital marketing. What changes is that how do you use the tools that are available to you, which are the digital platforms and the digital mediums, for you to disseminate and engage with the audience on that content. Now, when you go, the other difference is that, traditional very rarely allows you to have a two-way communication. Whereas in digital, you have a two-way communication almost every time, right? So I post something, you have the ability to comment on that and, put your point of view. And if I'm a brand, I'm happy to sort of engage with you, go further and, have that sort of dialogue. That's also very important to see that whatever you put out there, you need to sort of think about it. You need to sort of have some sort of, strategy, some sort of direction behind it. Just not do something that, that has to be done. That's sort of the broad differentiation. When it comes to looking at different, like a 360 campaign, I think it's very important that you look at a length. So, typical digital campaigns would be about 2 to 3 weeks. And that's essentially largely because you have 2-3 different phases. You need to really first engage with the audience in the first phase or build an intrigue. Then you take them on a journey, get them to some sort of a landing environment or something where they get more information. And then, and post that is where you have the actual purchase or, actual action that they need to take. So a typical campaign sort of takes that long. It takes a lot of effort to put those things together. And those are some of the key elements around campaign planning.
Right. Experts also talk about how there is a classic marketing dilemma when it comes to digital versus traditional. How do you really deal with that? Because the kind of metrics that both these spaces have are very different. So how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, so I think, interesting. So when I started my career, right, so that time it was, so it used to be that digital is in a silo. There are 6 people in an agency who know digital, and they were supposed to just come in and add, 3 slides at the end of the presentation just to say that, hey, we are digital, we understand digital, right? Now that was about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Now that entire shift has happened to where we work very integrated as an agency, right? So we work on campaigns right from the inception, and that's the beauty about having an integrated approach to any sort of digital or offline campaign, is that while your mainline has a role to play, which is probably creating reach, creating brand, creating awareness, digital has its own place, because digital is where you will finally engage with the clients. You will finally engage with the audience. You will finally create resonance. You will finally create relatability. Now, those elements will come when it's an integrated campaign. So if my mainline or my print ad or my TV speaks something else, and my digital medium is talking something completely different, there is no cohesion, right? You as a consumer would be like, hey, listen, I understand what you're trying to say to me on TV, but the moment I'm trying to engage with you online, it's very different. So I think more and more now in the industry as well, we are seeing the demand for integrated thinking and integrated approach, which is, I think, really good, because the power that the mainline, the traditional agencies and the people who have been in traditional agencies bring to the table is very, very, very superior than what digital marketers have, right? They've been in the sector for 20, 25, 30 years. They've seen the evolution of the space. They understand consumer behavior. They understand how brands think. They've built brands, whereas digital is fairly new. So when it's fairly new, everything is experimental. But now we finally found a foothold in the marketing space, and now that's the change that you're seeing, where more and more traditional agencies are becoming a digital first agency. I think digital as a whole, as any marketeer, as any businessman, as any sort of frame, you should definitely have the sense to think digital. And what I keep telling my team is that digital is not it's not a tick box. It's like a frame of mind, right? It's like you need to start thinking, and you need to start talking to people in the manner that you're a digital first thinker, because it starts from there. If you keep thinking that I'm not able to give you a solution which is a digital first, that doesn't work.
All right. Arvind, we'll keep the conversation on, but meanwhile, we have some questions from our viewers.
Sure.
The first one is from Wesley. He wants to know, would you say digital marketing is a low visibility job?
Well, I would say that 4 years ago, if he had asked me, I would have said yes, but not anymore. I think we are now as in the forefront as any other department of marketing is. In fact, a lot of conversations that we have is straight from the CEO's office, right? So we've actually been able to move that needle to a certain extent where you're able to measure the effectiveness that digital is bringing in. So it's no longer it's a very much glorified job, if I was to say, if that's what he wants to hear. And it's yeah, I mean, and I think it's also a very tough job, because purely the competition and the kind of digital agencies that are coming up are huge, right? So I remember when we started, I mean, when I started my career, there were like 10 agencies in India. Today, probably there are like 1,000 in Delhi itself, and I mean, and more than that across India. So the barrier to entry is very low. So everybody can become a digital marketer. What you really need to learn is, you be true to what you really want to do in your field. So there is a passion that you need to bring to it, right? And I think that is something that you can do parallelly when you're learning something else. And this can be started at any time to sort of start just learning on your own, learning the ropes, and see if you have a passion. I mean, I have somebody in my team who did this as a hobby, right? When he was in school, enjoyed it so much. He's been in this field for 6 years, and he's just got out of college. So, but he still has about 6 years of experience, right? So,
Right.
so yeah. So I mean, those are interesting stories, and you can do it yourself.
Right. We have another question from Sushila. With digital marketing focusing on skills you might learn on the job, a BBA or an MBA degree is relevant for someone wanting to pursue a career in marketing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question. So MBA is a personal choice. That's what I would always say. It's a personal choice. I mean, I think that's certain managers believe that MBA really sort of helps you with the career progression. Certain believe that there is on the job, which is sort of way better. I mean, in my team there is a mix of both, right? I have people who are MBA graduates, who are not MBA graduates, and the way I look at it is, I think marketing as a function is the same. If you learn, if you don't learn, but you need to have the basic understanding of what marketing means, the science behind it, not just merely understanding models that we are taught in college, right? You need to really look at the science behind marketing. What was marketing set out to be? It was actually set out to be sorry, something that enabled behavior change and enabled customers to buy into a product or buy into a belief, right? So that still is intrinsic to marketing, and I think that will remain intrinsic to marketing no matter how you change it, right? Make it digital, tomorrow you'll make it mobile or augmented reality first or something like that. But the core still remains that, if I need to convey my message to Shilpa, I need to convey my message to Shilpa the way that she understands. Otherwise, it's just a message that I'm sending to the world, which might not be the answer, right? So yeah, I mean, I think absolutely college degrees do help, but I would say that even more important is understanding the real market. And India is so dynamic that the moment I go out of Delhi into another state, the cultural vibes are different. The way people think is different. The things that they like, things that they eat is different. So that is also a very important aspect to know, that you really need to know your consumer and your category. So two other elements that you should always look after when you're sort of thinking about marketing.
Okay. Also, if you can do what do you think a wannabe digital marketing aspirant should look at? Do they have to take a course on Moocs, one of the Moocs, be it Coursera, Udemy, or should they look at that, or should they look at Google and other certifications?
I think I prefer going through the bigger schools. I mean, like the schools that were actually built out to teach this. That's Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. because I think those they have trainings that are meant for the platform, and they sort of simplify digital marketing. Now, if I'm able to learn something from Google, which is about targeting, right, I actually understand how at what different filters can I use to reach a particular audience size. What is that kind of audience size? I can also understand what people are searching for, right? So we all use Google search, right? That's probably a zero moment of truth. You hear about something, the first thing you do is Google search. Now you can actually identify, and this is something that you can all do at home, right? Is to go to trends.google.com and see how people are searching. And that allows you to see that, hey, if I'm thinking of a startup in, I don't know, sustainable energy, I can actually go and see what is the kind of search that's happening around sustainable energy. Where is that search happening? Is it Bangalore? Is it in Delhi? Is it in Mumbai? And that sort of helps me understand my target segment even more. And then I can further deep down into those searches to see what are the exact searches. And then so that's the way it sort of allows you to learn, because you are learning these things on your own. And like I was telling you earlier, right, it's probably the one career where I'm still learning. I mean, I still think that I'm sort of probably outdated, because there are newer platforms that I'm not on, and younger kids are on, which probably I'm not an expert on, but they are. So you keep learning this every day. You keep learning new things every day. And I mean, who thought that Zoom calls are going to be so big in 2020? We're all using Zoom calls all the time.
Right. Shubhajit wants to know what part of digital marketing domain knowledge about FB, Twitter, Google tools we.
I'm sorry, I lost you, Shilpa. Vamsi, are you able to hear her?
Vis-a-vis subject knowledge on marketing. Hear me on that question?
Can you please repeat? I lost.
Yeah, Shubhajit said, what part of digital marketing is domain knowledge, for instance, about Facebook, Twitter, Google tools, versus subject knowledge on marketing? So I think he wants to know that, how do you really find that balance? Yeah.
So I think it's 50-50, right? So so the way I would say is that you need to have a really deep understanding of marketing. So maybe you should do like a 60-40 split, I would say. So 60% should be focusing on your core understanding of the basics of marketing, what marketing allows you to do. And the rest 40% is what you should spend on the different platforms, because the number of platforms might change tomorrow. But what I'm really learning here about marketing will not change. So that's how you should sort of look at it. Like I said, so digital tools can be learned in parallel to whatever you're currently focusing on. And that's how you should always do, because those are things that should come to you. You should learn them, and you should be able to start thinking in your thought process with a digital first approach. That is what really makes the difference, because the moment you're able to convert a business problem into a digital problem, you will be able to come up with a solution online. So that's sort of that's the thing.
Okay. The next question is from Taruni. How much do entry-level digital marketing jobs pay?
I think it depends. So anything from starting at about 20,000-25,000 per month, it goes up, down. So that's also depending on the agency that you go for, right? So like or the brand that you go for. So if you're working for an in-house company, then probably you might get more than 25,000. But when you're working for an agency, that's probably like a good salary to start at. But what I was saying is that there are a lot of agencies. So you really need to figure out what is the differentiation that the agency brings to you. What is the kind of opportunity that the agency gives to you? And in digital, the best thing that you should look for is the ability to be exposed to as many aspects of digital as possible. So like I was earlier saying, right? So we work across about 5-6 different line of businesses, right? So we do creative, we do video, we do technology, we do data, we do analytics. Now, you need to know a good sense of all of them to be a good digital marketer. Otherwise, you'll be really stuck at a point where you're just stuck with a limited knowledge, whereas the ask from the other side might be a little more holistic, a little more 360. So I think that is more important, to spend more time if you're starting off a career. Try and see as much in that space that you can see, because that's how you will learn. If you continuously only focus on, say, social media, then you will not probably learn anything beyond social media. So that's the advice I would give, that get something where you're able to look at multiple aspects as much as to grow yourself as an individual.
Okay. We have a next question from Vineet. Do digital marketing agencies offer internships, and what kind of work do interns get to do?
Yeah, so they do. So I mean, in fact, even we do internships. So it depends, actually. So like I said, most of the interns that we work with, we actually give them, we get them to work across 2-3 different projects at one time. So they are getting enough exposure. And it's interesting because at an internship level, there is a lot of data crunching. I mean, I would not deny that, but because that's something that you need to learn as a digital marketer. That what are the kind of trends? How does my report look? What changed? What is changing? What has happened in the sector in the last 10 days, 5 days, whatever. So those are the things that you will get to learn. In addition, if you have a flair for writing, you can easily help us with the art pieces. You can help us with the creative pieces. You can help us with the campaign thinking. So those are the different elements that we usually sort of give to interns. So it's around reporting, creative, and writing.
Right. Okay. Next question from Sunad. We did discuss this briefly a while back. What's a good way to start digital marketing? Is Google Analytics certification a good way to begin with?
Yeah, I think Google Analytics is good. Google Analytics is something that we still use, and we will continuously use for a good amount of time, and only increase the usage of Google Analytics. I think if you have a good command on Google Analytics, what it allows you to do is to figure out how different channels contribute to your, say, website, or whatever you're analyzing. And that is sort of helps you, because there is social, there is referral, there is website, there is media. So it sort of allows you to sort of go a step above and look at how your key asset, which is a website, that works in the internet today. So I think it's a good start. I think Google, absolutely. I think you should also look at SEO. SEO is a huge thing now. Just think about yourselves, right? We're all searching on Google every time and looking for something. So that's important. Voice is very important. So as we are growing into this, as internet is growing in India, what we are also seeing is the rise of voice in the search parameters. We see a lot of regional languages being used for searches as voice, because people don't want to type long sentences. So they're happy to just do the voice search. And same in rural. So even in rural India, what we're seeing is that even though they might be low on literacy, but they're comfortable with the spoken language. So they're using the internet by doing voice searches. So now that's the next frontier. It's the voice search.
Right. The next question is from Manish. How does creative and design differ for digital versus traditional marketing channels like newspapers and outdoors?
Yeah, so good question, actually. So I think it differs significantly. So if you see, right, so a print creative would come probably once a month. Outdoor creative would probably come once a month. But a brand online will talk to you almost 5 times a week, 6 times a week. So those are 6 different pieces of content that you need to do in a creative. Now, how does the creativity differ? It differs because of scale, right? Now, the audience that is looking at print, the reaction that you're expecting from them, when you look at that creative, is very different from digital. On digital, you're expecting them to click on something, move into some other journey. When it's on print, it's very different. Same on TV, right? Same on outdoors. The reaction that you're expecting from the user is very different. So different mediums, different thought processes, different challenges you're trying to address, different call to action is what we call it. So call to action is the click off to something else. So those are the different ways that you need to look at it. And also the platforms, right? So now there are creatives that you can make which are specifically for Instagram. There are creatives that you will make which are very specific to Twitter or Facebook. Now those won't work on a billboard, right? If I say swipe right on a billboard, it does not work, right? But a swipe right on Instagram works. So those are the things. Those are the things. It's more interactive. Yeah.
More interactive. Yeah. Multi-touch points.
Yeah.
The next question is from Raghuveer. How did COVID impact digital marketing?
Oh, so interesting. So I think COVID's been sort of a blessing in disguise for us. I mean, if I was to say that, right? So I think what we were expecting in the next 10 years has sort of happened in the last 6 months, or will happen in the next 2 years. The rate of speed at which businesses are going digital is become significantly high. When we started the year, we were working with brands where the focus was to create engagement, to create a viral idea and all of that. Now, that has significantly shifted in the last 6 months to saying that, can we build something that allows me to drive businesses from digital? Because people are not going out that much, right? People are not having events. So traditionally, doing an event was a big place for businesses to meet each other. Now, in the absence of not doing any events physically, the only thing that connects all of us globally is digital, right? So now brands are trying to leverage that to see that how can we use that as a channel and as a medium to get more businesses. And we've been doing that in the last 6-7 months. Has been more from a solution point of view. Of course, the overall marketing as a segment, I would say, has dropped this year, and that's fair enough, because businesses have taken a conscious call to say that, hey, listen, we need to look at people first, and look at the spends. But I think that's just we're now at a stage where I'm seeing that we are coming out of that, and we are back at a place where marketing is starting, and brands are coming back, and brands have figured out what they needed to change and adapt to this new normal. So I think that's where it is, and I think COVID's been sort of a very good blessing in disguise for us, at least as a sector, because we are seeing more and more conversations with the CEOs and the MDs around digital.
Okay. The next question is from Sudeshna. What do you think is a good age to start taking Moocs for digital marketing?
Good age. So I mean, I think when you're legally allowed to go on the platform, I think that's the right age. So the platforms are see, digital is it's the internet, right? The internet is at the end. It's just us connecting with each other on a virtual network. So the moment you're allowed to go online, you are able to learn digital. So nothing stops you, right? I still remember when I was a child, when the modem had come and we had the initial internet connection, and the only one website used to work was yahoo.com, right? And it would take like 15 minutes for yahoo.com to load, and I used to get like hour and a half in front of the computer, and out of which like 45 minutes was just loading the pages. So at that time also the curiousness was that how can you go to a different page, what can you learn? And I think that is that's just the medium. I think internet's really powerful. I think it's just about if you have the aptitude to use that to your benefit, I think you should start doing that at the age that legally allows you to do. And yeah, I mean, I think you can. I mean, I know, like I was telling you, there's a kid in my office who started working on his own when he was in the 10th grade because he really enjoyed Facebook marketing, and by the time he was in 12th, he was doing campaigns for like few freelance clients. And now he's joined us, and he already has about 6 years of experience just out of college. So that sort of, that's his effort and his passion. So yeah, so no right age. Start
no right.
Start
yeah. Akshay wants to know how much of digital marketing is leveraging current memes and trends.
Yeah, it's a lot actually. So I don't know if I mean, I'm sure most of the kids would have followed this whole Binod thing that was happening yesterday.
Yeah, Binod.
Now that started as a meme on YouTube, right? And that's just taken the world by storm, and I know, and brands have taken over it, and so yeah, memes work because see, there at the end we are all, when you're communicating online, you're communicating to a person. You're not communicating to a business, right? What you like and what I would like, it's probably going to be something which is funny, or something which is really emotional. So most of the times, these are the two sort of categories that work online. It's either extremely emotional or really funny. So memes work. And we've done few campaigns as well, which is 100% on memes. And we were taking, so memes are good. Memes are funny. Memes are a good way to get to your end audience as well, and to bring out your creativity. So the tougher challenge is to make something funny, because there are so many people now today creating funnier content than you are. So that's the challenge. That's where you need to be more innovative.
Do you want to share one of the examples of your campaign where you worked on memes and how you leveraged the entire thing?
Yeah, so it was for this it was for a B2B brand. So we were focusing to create awareness around the architectural and interior design community, right? So and it was about some new product they were coming up with. So they wanted something which was a little clutter breaking, something that impacted the end audience, etc. So we created this whole series of memes, which was I don't know if you've seen that, what my mother thinks I do, what my friends think I do, what I really do, right? So that was the insight, saying that everybody thinks that as an interior designer or an architect, I'm a really busy person. I'm always sort of caught up with things, etc. But in reality, their challenges and our challenges are very similar. They also have a client at the end, right? They also have somebody who's saying that, hey, I don't like that color of that creative or that wall. I don't like the way this table is put. I don't like the way the light is coming in. So those were the really relatable moments that we picked up, and we created an entire series which was just focused on these humorous moments that they face, right? That window to south mein hai, north mein hona chahiye tha, for example, and somebody is calling his wife saying that pink bol rahe hain, red nahi hai color. So these are just simple things that they face in real life. So yeah. So that was funny. That was good.
Interesting. Do all companies outsource digital marketing? This is a question from Sumanta.
No, not at all. I think increasingly what we are also seeing at a global level is that a lot of companies are now bringing things in-house in collaboration with agencies. So there's like an absolute collaborative model where you have the agency partner come and work within the office environment as well. And I think that's a very, very, very good model to have, because agencies sort of, we don't have the baggage that the brand needs to carry, right? We have a little more flexibility at our ends, a little more openness at our ends, whereas the challenges that brands face internally are something that only they can tackle with. Like a marketing manager has 100 other people to answer to internally. So at least that way the collaboration works well. We have seen, I think about 80-85% globally would be outsourced. 15% of bigger brands might have insourced their agencies. In India also, I know a few brands who've sort of done really good work. I think Swiggy is completely in-house. Not Swiggy, sorry, Dunzo is completely in-house. And they do some extremely interesting creative work. I mean, we've all seen that.
Right. Do you think digital and regional languages is expected to grow?
Yeah,
it's a question from Sharju.
Yeah, it's already growing, in fact. So, with the whole geo phenomena, right? What has happened is that the access to internet in the heartlands has become significantly high. What we used to call traditionally as media dark areas are no longer media dark, because they've now got access to at least a phone and some sort of internet. And the first, and a lot of those people might not, they might not recognize, or they might not be comfortable reading in Hindi or English or any other language, but their local languages. We're working on a large project with the government on the agricultural side, right, where we're actually going at a district level communication model. So we are communicating to specific districts across India, about about farming. And there we've used about 10 different languages to sort of actually speak to the local communities in the local languages. And the results have been phenomenal. I mean, people are more than happy to share what we talk. They're responding to us. We have a whole WhatsApp integration where they're actually able to communicate with us. So, and that too in regional language. So those are things that are happening. Technology is allowing that to happen. The internet's allowing that to happen. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a huge growth space. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arvind, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. The next question is from Ismail. How to make a career switch from other professions to digital marketing?
I did myself. So I was an engineer. I moved to digital marketing. I think it's you need some sort of basic understanding of marketing. You need to understand how digital platforms work. You need to understand how you can set up a campaign. How do you set up a Facebook page? How can you market a Facebook page? What is SEO? What is digital marketing? What all does it entail? Those are basic questions that you need to know, not just the answer to, but need to know how those work. So those are the key elements that I would recommend that you learn. You understand. There are a lot of interesting blogs that Google puts out. There's a whole website called Think with Google. It's very useful. I mean, I use it all the time. It actually tells you how to use Google to better understand the power of Google to market to people. So I think that's a very useful tool. The entire blog, they have case studies from all over the world that sort of specify different challenges. So you can refer to that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's on a whole, that's how you should look at it.
Right. The next question is from Tanmay. What are your thoughts on some of the major firms dropping out of Facebook advertising?
Well, I think that is a intermediary phase. From the last thing I read, is a lot of them have come back on the platform now. So I think brands have and are at a position of responsibility to take those decisions themselves. Brands have always believed in certain parameters. That's how brands are built. Now, for example, look at Nike, right? Nike as a brand has a very strong ethos. It believes in something. It resonates with everybody who sort of believes in Nike. But they didn't boycott the platform, right? They remained on the platform, and I think certain brands took a stance against it, and I think both Facebook and the other platforms have taken right amends to sort of to talk to brands to come back on the platform, and I think that's a very personal brand choice. But I think in the larger scheme of things, if you look at just digital platforms individually, the sheer size is like a billion users on the platform. You can't ignore those billion people who are readily available for you on a platform, right? To engage with, to talk to hear their opinions. So those are things that I mean, it's a tough call, but I think it probably is somewhere close to their brand ethos. But that's why we didn't see every brand following it. We saw very few brands following it, and some of them have now gone back to it. So I think it's a temporary phase.
Okay. The next question is from Gopalakrishnan. We saw mission admission session on 5G and IoT and AI. How will these technologies affect digital marketing?
Yeah, so it's already affecting actually a lot of work that we are doing currently is also AI driven. So there are a lot of these chatbots, there are a lot of these machine learning led solutions that we're actually building out for clients. And it's amazing because it sort of just simplifies the most mundane process that we used to have and allows us to add value on it. So that's one. And the second is, with the whole increase in bandwidth and the whole increase in the internet availability, you will see more and more people becoming informed, which is very good, because see, what it allows us to do is to learn more online. It's to just sort of get more information. It's to understand deeper about technologies. It's about engaging deeper with your clients, with your customers, and create experiences, right? So when you look at AR, it's really experiential, right? So I mean, you can have a print that moves, right? Because you can have that AR filter that exists. You can have a billboard that has something that comes alive every evening. So those are elements that are really nice. That's why digital was built. It was to build that engagement. It was to connect with the audience so that you remember it later. Imagine you're in a world where you're consuming content at the speed of, I don't know, every 3 to 5 seconds you're getting a new piece of information online or on your social media platform. But what you really remember and recall is something that you've engaged with, or something where you had to share something, or something you shared with your friends or family. So it's important to utilize these technology to create those sort of experiences for people. So I think it's very strong place for digital, that these technologies are growing at this pace.
All right. We have another question from Delcy. What is the importance of having good communication skills in various jobs across digital marketing?
Yeah, I think it's very important. So at the heart of digital marketing is communication. So if you think about it, it started as a comms function, right? So it started as social media channels for brands. So I was communicating on behalf of brands on their social media channels, and that now has evolved into like a business solution and a digital solution, and wherever it's gone. So the heart of all of this is communication. So you need to have good communication. You need to have understanding of how to craft communication. You need to have an understanding of how brands talk. You need to have an understanding of how, what is the kind of messaging that you want to give your audience. What is the kind of tonality that you want them to hear? Because everything that you read on social media will leave an impression on your mind about the brand. So, whatever brand you're writing for, you should always think about what my audience will think once I have, once they've read that piece of content. So yeah, it's important. Communication is very important.
What are some tips for regular audience to improve their? Hello, Arvind.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost you there.
Sorry. Okay. Audience to improve their post reach on Instagram and Facebook.
Some tips. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I would say that look at the targeting parameters, right? Look at how you want to boost your post, and who do you want to reach as an audience. It's subjective, right? So you think, I mean, it's if I'm a brand that makes coffee, I would like to target people who drink coffee. If I'm build that affinity as a pool, create more interesting content, write something funny, write something witty, or if you want to write emotional, or write functional. Functional is also one thing where you write straight about product and benefits. I think just tweak around with your targeting. You will see what is the right audience. There will be an audience that resonates to your communication or whatever you're trying to promote, that is. So that's it's a trial and error at this time.
Right. The next question is from Ayush. We keep hearing a lot about influencer marketing. Does influencer marketing work?
Yeah, so I mean, I think in its purest form, it does work. So when I say purest form, that means what it was built out to do is say, I mean, influencer marketing has been with us for decades, right? Now, if Amitabh Bachchan was endorsing a product, that's influencer marketing as well. It's just that we call them brand ambassadors in the real sense. But now what has happened is, in the online space, everybody's become an influencer. I have people that follow me, maybe 200 people that follow me, or 300 people that follow me, but they would see what I'm posting and they would probably consider my opinion. Same with you, right? You would have people who are following you and they would take your opinion and your point of view. So, I mean, we are all mini influencers in our own space. It's just the fact that brands need to be really sure that they are actually getting influencers who have influence. A lot of time influence is misconstrued with followers, because I don't think followers is like a real measure of influence. A real measure of influence is actually I have enough influence to 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 tell somebody to guide somebody on digital marketing. So that's the kind of influence I would have. If I have 10,000 followers and I start talking about mobile phones, I'm just using my reach to sell a product. That's not influence. So I think there is a very fine line. I think that is how you should always look at it, because the closer you look at it from the brand, actual influence, I think it's much better for the brand for a long time, for a longer term association and longer term affinity for them.
Okay. The next question is coming from Manju. I'm working as a copywriting intern for a firm. Wanted to know the opportunities for copywriters in digital marketing. Are there any specific skills that you develop when you're, tuning yourself for digital marketing?
I think copywriting is one of the toughest pieces, that I've come across, because especially when you're doing it in digital. I keep motivating my team by saying that, hey, listen, it needs to be really, really something that I would stop and read, right? It has to be something that really sort of impacts. And moreover, what at least I'm seeing is that copywriting is coming back in the business. So in the middle, it was all video, animation, but now at the heart of it, everybody wants to read more on the phone or read more and have more impactful lines. So I'm going to give again the example of Nike, because I think the copywriting is excellent, right? So any Nike ad or any Nike print that you see, or any Nike digital creator that you see, would have really powerful copywriting. And I think that is probably like the top measure of copywriting. And I would just say that as a copywriter, you should just be as open as possible. I think it's very tough for you to do that, because you are very focused on putting that two elements. But I think the more open you are, the more perceptive you are, the more you are open to ideas and talking to somebody else about a particular line. I think you will always be able to fine tune it way better and way sharper than what you expected it to be. So collaborate. I am a big believer in collaboration. I think no one person makes a difference. I think it's always a bunch of people who make a difference. So collaborate. You should definitely have either an art partner or somebody who thinks with you. So, you can bounce off lines, you can bounce off ideas with each other. So that's something that I think always helps.
Right. How do you identify an optimal digital marketing mix for a product or, a company?
So it's a tough one. So it depends. Actually, it's not like it's one size fit all, to be honest. I think what we do is we go from problem to problem. So it's firstly understanding the problem statement. I think where you need to guide the brands and where you need to guide the other side is to craft out the perfect problem statement, because I think that is where most of us struggle. Like, why do you want to be on digital? Not because everybody else is on digital. That should not be the reason that you should say that, Acha, my competitor has 100,000 likes, so I should also be on Twitter. That's not the right way, because that's not the right answer to. The answer to that is, Acha, create a Twitter handle and get 101,000 followers. Right? But that's not the answer. So I'm saying that be a bit more meaningful. Think about effectiveness. Think about why you need to be present on that platform. And you're all users, right? Like I said before also, the power of digital is that it was built to be used by everybody. So using digital is not tough. It's just being on digital and building that brand awareness is what's difficult. So, yeah.
Okay. The next question is from Ravi Shankar. I'm looking to boost my father's business through digital marketing. How do you go about choosing a digital agency for a business when there are so many digital agencies?
So I think it's an interesting question. I think the business model for agencies is that we pitch for business. There is a brief that the client gives, and you have a discussion, and with the brief, and you collab. You come. If what the agency is presented is close to what you were thinking, you get into an engagement and you start working. So I think when you're choosing an agency, you should not look at them as an agency. You should look at them as a partner who would work with you, not for you. So I think that's the differentiation. So you get people who are challenging you, people who would ask questions back to you, people who have the larger objective of growing your father's business at the heart of it. Not just saying that make posts and publish it. So I think that's how I would look at it.
Right. As much as we see, I know a lot of interactions with virtual agents, chatbots. It's all powered by AI, but how much of it is also more creative, right? I mean, if you look at the recent Jeff Bezos Amazon conversation, that was very interesting, from being that richest man, and the kind of response that Amazon
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah, it was very, very interesting. So
Yeah. So I think, I think what AI and ML does is that it takes off the mundane, right? So if I just want to say, hey, hi, how are you? What's the price of this product? Now that's the mundane, right? That I can easily tell an AI to do. But the conversation that you're referring to, where the guy said that, hey, listen, I gave it back, and I think he just suddenly dropped from number 1 to number 2. And
number 2, yeah.
So that, to me, now there is human interaction where it comes in. That a computer or an AI or ML will never be able to respond by that. So I think it both needs to go hand in hand. Of course, it allows us to have many more conversations with many more people. AI and ML does, allow us to do that, and chatbots, etc. But at the end, the human interface and the human interaction is the human interaction. So, that would never change. And that's what you remember. See, that's what will get shared. That is what, you and I have never spoken about this thing before, but we both in the same forward.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question is from Kamran. What are the positives and negatives of being an account manager in digital marketing? And what are the skills that are required for this?
Positives and negatives. So I'll start with the negatives first. So you will be fighting with everybody. So you will have a fight with your teammates. You'll have a fight with the clients because that's your job. Your role is to be the client at the agency, and it's to be the agency at the client. So you're literally straddling both lives, and you need to be really good at it. You need to be having the best interest for both the parties. And not be like a grumpy person. So you need to be happy, and you need to get things moving around. The positives is that you get to learn a lot, because you are able to be in front of the brand custodians, and if you're a strong individual, you will probably definitely be part of their internal meetings, being part of the internal decision making process. I was an account manager when I started, so I started at a very basic level, right? So I used to do everything that an account manager used to do. And then I realized that, that's how you learn, because you don't learn everything at the agency. You learn a lot at the clients, and because that's where businesses are moving, that's where businesses are working. Those are the business challenges that you want to bring and try and solve them here. So I think those are the positives. You get to work across different spectrums. So like I was saying earlier, you get to work on creative, media, technology. All of those elements you are able to cover because you're an account manager, so you are responsible for those things. You're also able to teach a team that you have. You're able to, pass on your knowledge to them, learn from them, do some brainstorming, do problem solving. And yeah, it's an interesting role. I think you need to be really passionate about it. I think that's at the heart of everything is passion. If you have passion around it, then I think it should work.
Right. If you look at the touch points are only increasing with a lot of digital tools and solutions. If you look at performance marketing, social marketing, digital marketing, SEO, SEM, partnership marketing, you have to really get up for marketing channels across the spectrum. How do you see that?
Yeah. So I think the way we look at it is it's again, it's not one size fits all, right? So it's basically you might have a business problem where you say that I want to acquire new customers. Now, if I'm looking at acquiring new customers, then I probably need to do a bit of awareness. I need to do a bit of engagement, and then a bit of performance marketing, where the skew is probably evenly spread. If I say I want to only do sales from digital, that's my only objective, then I would probably do like a little bit of awareness and a large bit of performance marketing and influencer marketing, maybe that. So I think it totally depends on the kind of problem you're trying to solve. It totally depends on the kind of industry you're in. certain industries, which, so now we are getting a lot of work that we do is also around the B2B side of the business, right? So when a business is talking to a business, it's not talking to a consumer. That's an entirely new gamut of touch points, because I'm then looking at places where businesses are understanding their knowledge. Now that's completely new, completely different, completely, like evolving now. So there the touch points are again different. So yeah, I mean, so that's something that you will learn over a period of time. I don't think that's something that you can learn on day one. I think as you grow in the industry, as you start learning and being part of multiple campaigns, and I think that's another element of the career point is really good, is that I work across 20, 30 categories, right? Because I work from print to pharma to sports to entertainment to consumer durables to FMCG to PepsiCo. So I have like a wide variety of categories that I'm able to work across. And that is really good, because that keeps you interesting, that keeps you giving a new challenge on a daily basis. And yeah, so I think that's good.
Yeah, one last question from my side before we close. You spoke about B2C communication. If you look at the Uberization of the B2B communication, is that a bigger challenge when you look at, the different creatives that you've handled so far?
Yeah, I mean, see, the challenge is to create so many pieces of content, because at the end you have limitation to talk, right? So if I tell you to write something about this cup, there are only 10 different aspects that you can write about this cup. But at a digital marketing side, you probably need to create 300 pieces of content which are only talking about 10 aspects of the cup. So yeah, so I mean, it's tough. Yes, it's tough. And I think that's where majority of our time goes, is into crafting these intelligent, interesting communication. It's about solving these small problems around how do you communicate well, how do you create better. And yeah, I mean, I think on a large scale, now personalization has taken a big step. So I briefly spoke about marketing automation earlier. So that's where you can deliver personalized communication to millions of people on a click of a button. You just need to know that different sets of audiences, what I should promote, what I should push through, and on which touch point as well. So, so that's changing. There is technology that's come in there as well that's helping us sort of deliver that at scale.
Sure. We've run out of time. Thank you so much, Arvind. Really thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for sharing those insights. Also the career guidance and, your own journey in the advertising world. Wishing you the very best. Thank you so much for being on Times of India's Mission Admission.
Thank you, Shilpa. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.